All right. I think that Hillary Clinton is seeing handwriting starting to appear on the wall because she's definitely, in my opinion, going to lose Wisconsin. So she supposedly is building a firewall in New York. But now, according to Christian Welker, she's building another firewall in Pennsylvania. So that leads me to think that she knows that New York is going to be a big problem. And if she loses in New York and turns around and loses in New Jersey, and rolls into Pennsylvania, she's going to be in a world of hurt.
Right now. And to put this into a broader context, in order for Senator Sanders to really start gaining on her in terms of that delegate lead, he would not only need to win here in a state like New York, he'd need to win by a large margin, and he'd need to do that in a number of big states like Pennsylvania, and that is why you are seeing her start to try to build a firewall there as well. Erica.
NBC's Kristen Welker for us. Kristen, thank you.
Thanks, Erica.
Vangelis is former president and CEO of the NAACP and joins us now. Nice to have you with us today.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
And a Sanders supporter, we want to make sure we're clear on all of that. When we take a look at the rising tensions that we're seeing between the Clinton and the Sanders campaign, there was, of course, that exchange which we played a little bit earlier. I just want to play it again that we saw yesterday from Hillary Clinton.
Sure.
See, and that's the problem because, yeah, she claims that she got money from people that work for the fossil fuel companies, but those people bundled up donations of like $1 million each. So that's not just people working for the fossil fuel companies. That's people that work for the fossil fuel companies that are fronting for the companies themselves getting her that money.
Just based on the nature of the beast and the media these days and everyone's access to social media, we see a lot more of candidates, all candidates, than we used to. We're seeing more of these moments from both candidates. How are you reacting to those? What's your take?
Well, look, you will never see our candidate yelling at young activists. And that's, I think, that's not, her deciding to go off on a young Greenpeace activist, that is not how you win the green vote. It's not how you win the youth vote. It's not how you win the black or brown vote. Our communities tend to be the most sympathetic to the cause of groups like Greenpeace when it comes to actually supporting, protecting the environment. And so, what you see there, I think, is her, quite frankly, getting nervous. She took $4.5 million for her campaign and her super PAC from the fossil fuel companies, and folks, I think, rightly come to a conclusion that they're willing to invest that kind of cash in her because they see her as a good investment for their companies.
Well, separately, we had Sanders supporter Rosario Dawson saying, shame on Hillary Clinton for using Donald Trump's abortion comments to knock Bernie Sanders, but she also brought up Hillary Clinton and the FBI. Does Bernie Sanders on that side need to rein in his supporters so it's not getting too nasty over there?
Well, I think it's hard to actually compare a candidate and and then the other candidate's surrogates. What we see with Hillary and the Greenpeace activists is the candidate losing their cool, losing their discipline, accusing the Sanders campaign of lying when the issue was that Greenpeace was telling the truth. Ms. Dawson is a great surrogate and can speak for herself, but I don't think we can really compare the two.
But do you ever worry about reining in surrogates? And this goes for every campaign, because if they are out there representing you, rather, is there a messaging?
Sure, no, look. The things are so crazy over on the Republican side. I think, what we have going on the Democratic side really pales by comparison. And no, I don't think that there's any need for us to rein in. So I think it's important for people to actually speak their minds, speak from the heart. And if Ms. Dawson does anything, she speaks from the heart, and that's why so many people trust her. It's the same thing with Sanders. He speaks from the heart. So many people trust him. But we've seen these incidents with candidate Clinton and young activists, and she never really handles them well, and she needs to learn how to actually deal with young activists. They are the future of our party.
We see these strong numbers for Bernie Sanders out of Wisconsin. The Clinton campaign, as we've been talking about the last few days and just heard again from Kristen Welker, is preparing for the possibility of a loss in Wisconsin, really focusing on New York, as is Bernie Sanders, who's really playing up his New York roots here. Beyond that, what is the strategy for the Sanders campaign? Because there is still a double-digit divide here between the two candidates in New York.
Sure. Look, we closed gaps very, very quickly. I mean, if you look at the polls coming out of Wisconsin, I think the last 3 polls have us up by at least 5 points. One of those actually went, dug deep into see what was going on with black voters, showed us up over Hillary by more than 10 points with black voters in Wisconsin. And I think what concerns the Clinton campaign is they know they don't do well in these formerly industrial states. What's going on in the states is people took pride in actually producing things, took pride in making things, and then came NAFTA, and then came permanent normal trade relations with China, and people saw, yeah, sure, maybe somewhere some corporation's doing better in this country, but their community's not doing better, and the jobs haven't been replaced. And when they have been replaced, they have replaced well-paying union jobs with low-paying service jobs. And so, black folks get it, and white folks get it. And in places like Wisconsin, she's going to have a hard time. In upstate New York, she's going to have a hard time. And quite frankly, she had a hard time filling a 1,500-seat theater in Harlem the other day when we had no problem exceeding 15,000 people in the South Bronx.
Ben Jealous, appreciate you being with us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now that's going to be the key. If Bernie can get the minority vote, the black vote, and the Hispanic vote, like he's doing in Wisconsin, her ass is in a world of hurt. And there's a big black population in New Jersey, and there's also a big black and Hispanic population in Pennsylvania. And if Bernie is turned the corner on that, and he starts pulling those numbers in, this is going to be one heck of a campaign going forward. But Clinton going off on that Greenpeace activist, and about a month ago, she went off on those 2 Black Lives Matter activists and had them thrown out of a fundraiser that they paid $500 a piece to get into. That is not boding well. And Rosario Dawson's doing the right thing. She needs to bring up all of her baggage. If Bernie won't do it, his surrogate should, because the email scandal, as far as I'm concerned, that is fair game. And it needs to be pushed out there front and center, because if the FBI does come back and starts pushing for any kind of legal indictment here, she will be done.